Music of the Soul, Prelude, Prologue. I had anticipated this day for almost a week now, the day when my grandfather would take my brother and myself to the beach. I had not been there in so long, and I could not wait to go again. It was a place where I always had fun, even without a book or a needlework project to keep me busy. I did not need such things here. It was a place where I felt I had come home from after being gone for a long time, even though I already have a home of my own. As the golden sand and azure ocean came within view, I could feel elation coursing through me. I was excited to finally be at the beach, to finally be home again, and as close to whole as I could come without that special someone in my life. A smile spread across my face, one that no one could wipe away, and I could feel a spring in my step. It was like I had wanted to run, like I wanted to dance, as my feet finally felt sand beneath them, untainted by rocks. I could hold it in no more. I dropped my bag containing my towel and a change of clothing, my wallet, phone, keys, and a water bottle. I dropped it on the sand and ran to the water, not even heeding my body's cries for more air, to slow down a bit. My feet splashed freezing droplets of water upon my legs as they finally met water, a few centimeters at first, but quickly becoming deeper. Eventually, I did have to slow down and change my gait to more of a wading gait than for my running legs, as my legs pushed against the water that pushed against me. Finally, I came out to the water up to my knees. I dared not go deeper until my body could become accustomed to the cold water, and as it was, the waves lapped the water against my body far above my knees anyway. The cold was unpleasant at first, but I ignored it as I gazed out over the ocean, smiling. The sun glistened off the water, off the sand, off of everything. It was not so warm. In fact, the air was still cool, but there were no clouds to mar the beauty of the day. I ignored the glare of the sun off the water, looking beyond sun and land, beyond the sudden rocky islands that lay just off the shore. I gazed across the ocean as though gazing at Japan. I guess in some weird, twisted way, I was. I was facing that direction anyway. As the water lapped against my body, sometimes coming close to knocking me off my feet if I was not careful to adjust my stance properly, I began to feel peaceful, quiet, and happy. I had come home, and that was enough for me. In this peaceful, quiet, happy state, with the sound of the waves crashing on the sand all around me, and the feel of the tide against my body, the serenity within grew to an almost trance-like state. It was a one I was familiar with, and could only achieve when I was standing in the ocean. It was a state I saw rarely, though, so I sought it whenever I could. I was so happy I wanted to sing, but I didn't know what to sing. A tune came to my mind, but it was in bits and pieces, as though someone had chosen a few notes here and a few notes there, and gave them to me, keeping the rest for themselves. Words came to me, words I could understand in my own language, but they were random and made no sense. It was like someone had taken a word here and a word there from a sentence or from a paragraph and put them in my head, but would not give me the rest. Yet I still wanted to sing, though I didn't know what to sing, what the tune was, or what the words were. Suddenly, all around me, suffusing the air, trying to suffuse me, I could feel a strange power. It was not the power of the waves against my body, nor was it the heat of the sun. There was not much heat there to speak of anyway. It was like an energy all around me. It was a gravity all around me, whispering softly to my ear. My more sensible side told me that it was not a power, that it was only my imagination in overdrive once more. Yet I could feel it all around me. This strange power wanted me to take it in, to drink it in like a man dying of thirst. It wanted me to open myself up to it and draw it into myself, to do what I would with it. It was like the wind whispering in my ear with gentleness, and like the earth under my feet, steady and strong, yet it held a dangerous ferocity, like a fire uncontrolled. It wanted to flow into me like a river, like the ocean itself around me. It was not my imagination. Finally, I drowned sensibility and gave in to the wishes of this power and of my body. Where before I kept my arms at my sides, in spite of my wish to raise them to the heavens and draw it all in, I found my arms doing just that, raised in the air, palms up, as I stared up at them smiling. Then that power all around me, that warmth just over my shoulder, flowed into me like a torrent. I could feel the sky and the earth both flowing through me, as though sky and earth came together and connected through me, and I was that connection. I felt there should be light coming down from the heavens and flowing into me, flowing through me, that I should be glowing from this awesome and incredible power, but there was nothing. Light was brighter for me, colors more vivid, and smells more pungent. I could smell the salt in the air with a tang of low tide on it. I could feel even the smallest movement of air against my skin. I could hear the people on the beach around me breathing. I could hear their hearts beating, even when they were talking. I was one with everything around me, and it was all one with me. The more of it that I drank in, the more I began to struggle inside. This wonderful, awesome power threatened to disintegrate me, to burn away everything that I am. Yet I wanted more of it, and as I drank it more, as I struggled more, the air about me began to stir. There had already been a breeze. At the coast, there was no such thing as a windless day. But this breeze began to spiral around me, using me as a center point. It circled around me slowly, cautiously, like a cur dog afraid of being beaten by its master, but obeying its master's commands. It was like a will-o-wisp circling me, trying to figure out who or what I was, to figure out who or what had wakened it. The water began to ripple around my feet, as though they had been a pebble tossed into a placid pond. Soft ripples radiated from my legs, growing ever softer, ever larger, the further they went. I could feel the sand beneath my feet, and it seemed to give way beneath them, much as it does when the tide washes it out from underneath me. But the tide was in around me and not drawing back. I could feel a fire inside my heart, a hunger for more. I drew yet more in, and the more I drew in, the fiercer the wind around me. The ripples in the water became larger, and the sand gave way beneath me more. The fire inside me grew greater. It all grew till the wind whipped my hair around me, tangling my hair with my earrings, shaped like a crescent moon and star, and then untangling them in the same motion. I could hear people screaming, trying to run away from the terrible storm that was around me, yet I wasn't really aware of it. It threatened to lift me from the ground and draw me up into the sky where I could fly free like a bird at last. At the same time, the ripples around my legs had become waves of their own, equaling the waves that lapped against my body. Each wave lapped against each other, one counterpoint to the other. A crater was now beneath me and around me, filled with water, yet I was kept afloat by the wind and the movement of the water somehow. I knew that if that wind picked me up, Somehow that intimate connection of earth and sky within me would be torn apart, and all that is me would be swept away, that my very soul would be torn in two. I knew that if that happened, half my soul would soar with the winds, dissipated in them and spread across the world. The other half would sink into the earth, and that both halves would be lost forever. I would be lost forever, alive in body, but without a soul or a mind. I clung to that connection and suddenly realized that kelp and seagrass had somehow twined themselves around my feet, my ankles, and clear up to my mid-calves. Yet they were somehow firmly connected to the sand, and the sand was holding like stone. It was then that I realized that the wind had begun to lift me and the earth itself was holding me down. I willed the kelp and seagrass to be steady and strong as the earth itself, willing the sand like stone to cling to the seagrass and kelp like a barnacle to a rock. The wind wanted me swept away, to fly free with the birds, and the earth wanted me safely wrapped up inside it. Both were equally dangerous, yet they fought each other more than they pulled me. The more they pulled me, the more the song in my head, still present since those few notes and few words began to whisper to my mind, began to pull me too. I realized that the more it pulled me, the more complete it was. Finally, though, I knew the words and the notes. In my elation, I opened my mouth to sing those notes, those words, giving praise to the sky and the sun above. I sang to give praise to the wind and the water around me and to the earth beneath me. Though I could hear my own voice, it was not me singing. It was something inside me using my body, singing through my mouth, and I could hear it mingled with my voice. It was an ethereal, almost otherworldly voice that sang in harmony with my own, echoing my own. It was like two people singing together, but from only one mouth. It was so sweet I wanted to weep, so joyous I wanted to laugh. As I sang, I could feel my own soul begging for me to release it into this song, to give my very soul into this song. My elation ended. Though the powers surging through me, the wind, the earth, and the counterpoint waves around me did not, and was replaced by fear. My own soul wanted to escape, and that surely meant death for me. The sweetness and the pleasure of the power inside me had begun to turn to pain, a burning sensation that threatened to turn me to ash. At the same time, I could feel a warm, tingling sensation in my back that was altogether comfortable, yet dangerous in its own way. It begged me to relax my mind and let go, to let things happen as they would, even though I now barely held on to myself, and lessening that hold even the smallest bit would mean my very self being ripped away, leaving only a fleshy shell behind. I could not let it happen that way. I could not let my soul, my mind, be ripped away like that. I had to hold on to it for a while yet. No, I cried out, my own voice still mingled with that other voice, even though I had stopped singing. No, I won't let it end like this. I will not be used like this. I don't know how I did it, but I somehow let go of that terrible and awesome power. Life left me, or so it seemed, and the world seemed dull compared to how it had been when I was full of that power. That intimate connection between earth and sky was severed, and once again I was myself. The wind stopped suddenly, that terrible gale that threatened to blow me away into oblivion, as though it had been cut with a knife. The kelp and seagrass released my legs, and sands began to fill the crater beneath me once more, just as the waves around my legs became nothing more but ripples. I dropped my arms to my sides, my body suddenly too weak to do anything at all. With legs that were numb from more than just the cold water, legs that I thought too weak to just stand on. I turned and faced the panicked crowd behind me, trampling each other to get away. Yet among them, a young man stood watching me with eyes as blue as the sky and as fierce as fire. His hair was black as night, and he wore a t-shirt and a pair of jeans that were so big on him that he looked like a child in adult's clothing. However, there was no mistaking him for a child. His face was youthful, about my age really, but there was an age in his eyes, a wisdom that told of many more years of life than any human could ever achieve. His face had the look of someone who was often chipper and playful, but his expression was grim and serious. He was the only one not running. On legs I did not think would be able to carry me, I made my way out of the water, or as much as I could, though I did stumble a few times as a retreating wave threatened to pull me down. I made my way towards this young man. At the last step, though, my strength gave out and I faltered, unable to keep myself from falling now. The young man, whoever he was quick on his feet and caught me mid-fall, and I did not realize how cold I was until I felt his warm body against mine as he caught me. "What?" I said in a voice that was far shakier than I'd wanted it to be, though at least now it was truly my own voice, as he slowly and gently lowered me to the sand, having only stopped me from falling so I would not hurt myself. What was that? What just happened to me? Suddenly, a boyish but playful grin spread across his handsome face. I felt like I could blush at that face if I weren't so drained and weak and cold already. And with a voice that was just as playful, if a little rough and scratchy, he answered me, "I'll tell you later."